so vile nisema like with the way you use terms so kuna time niliona kiambia nani at some point I had suicidal ideation like, damn kizungu kwa kizungu simdomo chetu yes so mental health struggles, at what point did you realize that, you know what, maybe I have a problem? Because I don't think it's something that anyone accepts. And for me, the reason why I'm saying this is before I sat here with Ecstatic. So just tubongejia Alliance High School nikisikia ukibongejia Alliance mkiwa na Jagero, I noticed that Starehe copied a lot of stuff from Alliance
right.
But let's get into it. First day Alliance iliendaje? Like umetoka Magadi
niko Nax, but the farmers moved to Kisumu, niko boarding. Tulitoka Magadi after Magadi mimi nasoma Nax, but family ilitoka Magadi move Kisumu juu Masa alipata sijui job ingine Suba.
Masa alikuwa na chapo ma transfers
kapelekwa Suba. So your time nimetoka Kisumu. Also, you know, the family is big. There's a lot of expectations. My bro is in Campo. It's on like a parallel program. Naona tu ina stress awase mbaya to some point where it even like he had to take a pause from it.
Yes.
So then now tunaingia cash flow haiko. So tunashikanisha ni leo unaenda unatafuta box pale ni Jogoo Road hapo karibu na city study. Chukua box hapo unashonesha sort tribeless GNC.
Sijali. Kimoja funny enough mwambiaga watu hapa, one of the things that I don't do ni apologize for easy mistakes. The average African is trilingual.
But si hata wazunye wenye wanaongeanga lugha hiyo moja bado wana shrub. But for me it's just I'm a child.
Yes, I know.
Nitacheka tu. Najichekeleanga as much as I think it's super cool. When I do it I think it's really humorous.
Yes.
But so tunashikanisha tu hizo vitu nini. Then now you go in for admission. And admission used to happen in the upper field. Then now you're told this is the house you're gonna be in. These are your bed sheets color, because sisi bed sheets zilikuwa pink. Wilberforce tulikuwa bed sheets are pink. Mazeni kwa such a shame. Mimi nilikuwa Wilberforce, nakumbuka kulikuwa na Livingston, Agri, Wilberforce, Grieve, Arthur, Francis, Smith, Selwood, whatever. Inaenda huko inaisha Campbell.
Like, hiyo chuenyu, every time I think about it, every time I learn something about it, I'm like, damn, Starehe copied that one. Because PFC tulikuwa nazo, but now with us, the names were more African. So
I think ilikuwa
Jonjo,
yes,
Gikubu,
kweli.
Sajua, Ningala. So there were those names, alafu of course kulikuwa na inaitwa kitu kama Pat Show, so Patrick Show, the cop.
Yes.
Alafu like jia Patrick Show kulikuwa na Geturo House. Then kulikuwa na Tomboya House. Kulikuwa na
also yetu ilikuwa maybe those were principals I think the houses were named after like those
the people who were decided so I think even with Sisi,
but I think I like that naming system you now radicalized my
so ilikuwa that was it. So the first day umefika ndio siku pia ulirealize we are poor. It took some time
bro, new day kwa sababu unakaa hivi watu, and then najua huko watu walikuwa na iron nguo. And I think also, you know, when form ones are coming, you guys are supposed to show them that wamekuja wapi. So everyone has worn their best clothes. Watu wa miliona watu wa St. John's nikafikiria ni prefects. Wamevaa black, wamevaa jezi nini. Unaona maskanga wamevaa vitu zao. Scouts wamevaa vitu zao nini. Kulikuwa tuna wasee walikuwa na slightly different uniform. So niko na short yangu iko na different shade or hue. Box yangu inaka kind of funny. Sisi hatujaka mna gari.
Kwani short ilikuwa na different shade kwani?
Kwa sababu nilikuwa nimeshonesha. Sikuwa nimenunua yangu huko sijui outfitters and sijui nini. Also they felt like the school was selling it a bit too expensive. Kuna kubaliwa at least kawa ni form 1 unaweza get away with it. So
ukibonga that different material still reminds me of Starehe tukiingia. The short used to be a different material. It was blue but shiny.
Yes.
I think it was more nylon. So iko inachipuka inakaa.
Right.
But then we came tukachukuliwa cotton. Alafu around the same time pia it's when hip hop was starting to spread in Kenya. So kwa tunabambika kusag shorts.
Mbaya sana.
Sag stop sagging.
Yes.
So see nye mlikuwa na stories za
Hey,
sagging.
bro sisi ilikuwa unaiva above the knee kwanza as a form 1 as a rebel alafu unajua unaingia hapo bush was a different thing unajua we start telling the stories from the positive and then now you get to the soft underbelly because bush also has a very dark aspect to it. But you know when you start with because you have to start with the positives. That's what I believe, man. If you look at it, the experience, if you look at the arc, there are people who had a very horrible experience and the people who had a very positive experience.
Yes.
But that's up to you how you decide to look at it. Ulikuwa unaingia hivi, the first examination you do was not set by a teacher. It was set by the deputy school captain.
Okay.
Because ukiingia as a rubble auvai kama ruble auvai tie. Hizo shule zingine ulikuwa unaingia unapatiwa complete uniform, but when you get to bush you don't wear a tie. The first exam you do is called a tie test. And the tie test was to ensure you have a full grasp of the school. So ulikuwa unapatiwa grace period ilikuwa maybe 3 days ama a week I forget where you are allowed to commit offenses you could cross a loan because mko wa shamba because eventually you are not allowed to cross loans. Even I really struggle with it. I can't walk on grass. Natafutanga the longest route that or sijui umepatikana ukipocket you also were not pocketing unatembea tu hivi kimalamala those kinds of things. And then so if you committed the offense it's your guardian who would do that but also it's a guardian who wrote for you the tightest book. So that enabled you to know one the school's history, the various places in the school, what the number of because we used to have a gong tulikuwa na bell so it just haikuwa tu na ring for ukisikia 3 gongs unajua ni 2 gongs ni 13 gongs ni this society. So ulikuwa unakaa tu chini unasikia 1 2 3 then kuna hata emergency this is a state of emergency in the school. So knowing those kinds of things so the first exam nasikia hizi shule zingine watu wanafanya sijui nini sisi exam yetu ya kwanza imesetiwa na form 4 mbaya and the karaos were ruthless people.
I mean I always say they were assholes but I'd love that sort of attitude they had at a national level because it means they'd never forgive even for the smallest like mistake. So niko na feel like if Kenya was like that tungekuwa tu.
Mimi niko na contrary opinion na feel hiyo ndio kitu imetuweka kwa hii shida. Because kumbuka hiyo cabinet ya kwanza ilikuwa tu Busharians. Hao kina Njonjo kina nani kuna time fulani tu cabinet ilikuwa Alliance High School. And nikiangalia I feel like that prefecture system would not have doesn't work nationally because you're so far removed from the people. You don't care. Your work is to ensure there's whatever your goal is.
Enforce the law.
Yes. And it's not even enforcing, it's lording over because you know even like the people who are non-prefects are called commoners. And a lot of people suffered in the hands of prefects. I got good experiences but I also got really bad experiences in the hands of prefects.
But your prefects will not beat you up because
brother just because people don't talk about it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
So they could corporal punishment.
Prefects at the Alliance High School?
Because Buddha, there's a lot of stuff umesema where Starehe copied Alliance. Calling freshers rebels.
Rabble. Maruble.
Maform 1. Kila chuo iko nita mono, basi iko nitwa
rabble.
Yes. So that hiyo story ya crossing the lawn, story ya grace period, all these are terms I had at Starehe. Grace period, rabble. So hizo zote tumekopi from but sisi no captain, no prefect was allowed to beat you. No teacher was allowed. There was only one person who could hit you na ilikuwa ni Griffin.
That's a thing which I usually kind of envy.
Griffin akiwa off ndio kuna buda fulani kwa naitwa Gikubu. And Gikubu was now African. So he knew 6 strokes were not enough. Ule alikuwa na
vita mbaya.
Alikuwa na vita.
So sisi makarao walikuwa na free reign. Cops first of all if you were to paint the picture unajua naonanga hizi shule zingine alikuwa naona prefects na these are jokers. First of all it's a very very rigorous prefect process for you to become a prefect. Unaanza kulift nyinyi mlikuwa na kulift ni hiyo time yenye all your so kulikuwa na watu wako na ironed clothes na well pressed clothes. Kuna inchua nguo iko na wembe wembe hivi mazenzi ikipita inaweza dedi. So unaanza kufanya hiyo kitu form 3 ndio form 2 into committee because you see as you get in at Alliance ukiwa rebel huwezi pata kitu unaweza pata tu like junior roles then ukiingia form 2 you can get into committees, you can get into entertainment committee, social welfare society, those kinds of things. Then now house committee in form 3, shadow committee in form 2, then house committee in form 3, then you can become a prefect. All these things are just to prop you. The process was very rigorous. Again, you also had to be smart. because as a prefect ukifanya hizi vitu zote hakuna shule haitaki excuse ati you became a prefect and started failing. So kama ukuwa top 100 ama top 120 iza hawezi kuwa prefect. Kama ulikuwa mchafu hawezi kuwa prefect. Kama you're not like a proper sportsman,
yes.
kwisha. Then I usually say Alliance High School should just be like an episode yenye wase tofauti tu wanaiongelea, because those people were some of the most evil people you would meet.
The cops now.
The cops. Some of them were kind of good, but the majority of it, because the spirit it's a very heavy, controlling, I don't know what it was, but ilikuwa inawapatia superiority ingine, because again, they had a common room, like PCR. As a commoner, you wouldn't walk in front of PCR. You wouldn't nini. And then hawa hawakuwa wanachapwa na walimu.
So, Alliance watu chapwa?
Alliance watu walikuwa wanachapwa. Yes, like, Alliance watu walikuwa wanachapwa. Student wanachapwa na walimu.
Then Alliance siko upaya lakini msiwaji kopea.
Hapo tusiwae?
Msiwaji. Because sisi, we used to achieve whatever we achieved without zero physical violence. That's why I think waso shtukaga sana, like when I talk about not beating up kids.
Kids should not be beaten up, bro.
People watu shtukaga sana, but now if you see, if a school like Alliance is beating up kids, it makes sense why another school like Rodhemeto, you understand, would beat up kids.
Would beat up children, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so I think that's the reason why. Mi nimeshtuka, if you'd asked me, niko najua no national school watu yu chapwa.
So we had teachers who were, and at my time, there was a very evil guy. He was like a boarding master. He used to be coach for basketball. If you know him, you know him. As alikuwa naitwa Ndege. If he had vendetta with you, he had vendetta with you.
It's a
like,
teacher.
And piga tu, like it was so bad. And now mimi najua mimi nilikuwa wale wase wakorofi tu. Sijui nimehata class, nimepatikana kwa girls school, tumeenda camp scouts, nimepatikana kwa tent ya wasichana. Like nilikuwa naingia kwa the worst problem. That was such a PR nightmare for the school. So the prefecture is a thing which a lot of people don't talk about. But it was nasty. The prefecture was very nasty. Of course, now, when you look at it, it's very oligarchy. If you think about it, it's very proper, well-defined. Again, in terms of structure, show me a school that beats Alliance at structure. Hakuna. Unapata Pentagon ni wase watano, wanatembea in their trench coats in like style. But then, of course, that's a part you see. But then there's also the sinister part. And you think about it, the prefecture level, unapata maybe 1 year wanaitwa Dunkirks, the other year wanaitwa Mesau, and then they had like offices, mtu akona Kremlin, mtu akona whatever, like it was those kinds of things.
Just to make a few things. What's the underbelly ya Starehe? I actually feel like Starehe does not have anything that, the only judgment nishaihawe ya Starehe ni saying that Griffin, for someone who educated a lot of teenagers, knew very little about teenagehood. And my argument is always, you can never judge a man's character by the kid they are as a teenager.
That's the thing.
Like if I'm 16, 17, 18 and I'm a rebel, that has nothing to do with what I'll become as an adult.
Absolutely.
If someone was to go through my Starehe record, they'd think I'm a cocaine, weed, whatever addict.
Absolutely.
But that's not the man I turned into. So that's the one thing Musemaga was not perfect about the school. But apart from that, I'd basically say it's a perfect school.
That's not even for Starehe alone. It's just for society generally. Even right now, someone's just like, oh, sijui in high school. I'm like, the person, if you met me last month and today, I'm a totally different man. Last month, I was sijui a suicidal piece of shit. Right now, katikati ya maandamano kuna msata kama hapo na hiyo way, and I'm like, brother, sister, the time imepita. So I totally get what you mean. And to think that was even over a decade ago when we were in high school, so I'm like,
because majuzi nimeona, was it Rihanna? Not Rihanna, Chris Brown was saying that people judge him for stuff he did at 17 years. And I was like, 17 for 17. Like, yes, it's bad.
He was a baby, bro.
Rihanna, but he was 17, and most probably he'd grown up around your macho attitude.
As also propping up a child at 17 as a global celebrity. You're bound. It's bound to get into your head.
Damn, absolutely. Mi umenishtua sana juu ya Alliance. Mi unajua, I see the way munakuwaga proud of your school, and I never thought mko na hiyo level ya kuchapwa like now.
Ilikuwa, and it just the way, and I have my theories about Starehes, because what the guys I've seen from Starch, it's the same way you can theorize about, let me theorize kidogo about starch.
Yeah.
A Starcharian doesn't know what to do with you if they're not helping you.
Okay. Oh.
If you outgrow a Starcharian's help, you become useless to them.
Oh, damn.
That's my analysis of what I've seen from starch guys. It could, like, whatever, it could get me some flack.
I understand.
It's just the same way girls of quartet are going to sit through nonsense. They are stairs, like, I don't know, chicks who went to Loreto Limuru wanakuanga. If you're trying to get anything to do long term or permanent, it could be good or bad, because they also withstand a lot of BS. Just from what I've seen, chicks from quartet are just like that. And I don't know what, it's because we never really talked honestly about the high schools we went to, because eventually the good memories are, maybe it's a human thing that the good memories will always overshadow the bad. Because remember, that's one thing. And for me, I feel like the prefecture, I'm the one who suffered one of the worst brands of the prefecture. Kabisa, year in, year out, apart from when I was in Form 1, because I had like friends in Form 4 who were cops. But also, if I were to talk about abuse, if I were to talk about being framed, if I were to talk about, and not to say that I was a saint, I was also a rebel, yes. But if I were to think about people who structurally ruined me in my teenagehood, it's a prefecture. But then again, you look at the tradition. We used to have hymn services. We used to have carol services. We used to have so many beautiful things that overshadow the bad.
Because even that thing that you used to have your entertainment, we used to have that on Saturdays. Nimekwambia tulikuwa tuna copy, but sisi now we didn't have the freedom of choosing. Tulikuwa tu ile meleteo. Some Saturdays it would skip. Tulikuwa tunai-have kwa place inaitwa Assembly Hall.
Right.
So we had the Assembly Hall and we had the chapel.
Yes.
So the chapel was for, if Catholics are using the Assembly Hall, Leonie, so the chapel would Leo,
like a substitute.
Yes. So nyi kuomba ilikuwa?
Hapana, sisi kuomba specifically chapel, mani kila mtu, apart from Muslim society, which goes on to their own designated place. But we had a very elaborate system for prayer and singing. And that's why I'm like, that sets you up as a Pasharian, because one, when you're exposed to hymns, like, it has very good text. We're fairly lyrical, and the routine is also a bit more defined. Entertainment never skip. Hakukuwa ati na sijui kuna siku kitu imefanyika, hakuna entertainment. I never. But then also Saturday we had that, but then there's people who thought, that's worldly. There was a CU movie. So you could have entertainment again on Sunday, but then you watch things
like your mic.
On Sunday now you could have like a thing where you have like a CU thing where you would watch these Christian movies or animations, fairly innocent things. So the chapel was just the chapel. Ilikuwa proper. And the chapel, you used to sit in a very specific ways. The choir sat here, Form 4 sat here, then you sat in houses, up to the gallery, those kinds of things. And then we'd have hymn practices. So amidst everything that was happening, it's very easy to find the very, very positive things in terms of culture that you would find at Alliance. And when I look at the Alliance High School, I see Kenya, because you could see the division in society. You could see the way people could cut deals for you to even get into certain committees. Because remember, ukiwa Form 3, one of my desk mates was SWS chair. It's like
SWS means?
Social Welfare Society. So kitu yenye ilikuwa inadu, kama unatoka sijui mbali, unaandikisha jina yako kwa paper, amount of fare you need, alafu una submit your paper, alafu munaitiwa do. Nasema, hey, profit, maybe I'll make 50,000.
So nile do sasa imedonatiwa na kina Jonjo. Like,
unaweza sema hivyo, but also they used to go and fundraise. They would ask a parent who had money, please give us some money for needy students, nini. Alafu wanajilipa. And then they also did business. In school they had a canteen. Scouts also had a canteen. So during entertainment, like what mnaka hivi, you'd buy pin pops, hot dogs, nini, soda, those kinds of things. So again, you see how enterprising people can be. You see these are what you can do. You see how innovative other people can do. There's a game we were developing with a pal of mine. Shout out tulijikuta kwa the same mental institution recently. And he's the first guy who put me up on the idea of developing a game, and he was like, let's find music for this game and those kinds of things. So you would see innovation, but then you could also see how systemically things could work or could not work. Because you would have like a person, like a school captain, who would go to play golf. Saturday morning, he would have a meeting with the principal to update him on what the general feeling of the school is, what the students are feeling like. And the school captain was this, like snowflake akuwa naongea sana ulikuwa namwona. It was like the queen of England if you think about it. And then the deputy was a polar opposite. He was this macho rough guy. So this guy was a velvet glove and this guy was a fist of iron. So if you think about it culturally, you see also very rooted in a very colonial sort of organization, but it was organization nonetheless. So if you look at it structurally, if you reflect upon it, it looks beautiful.
Damn.
There's people who hate, but I feel like people hate on a thing which they do not know. Bush was a whole culture. It was
I've never thought Wasu hate Bush because I think Alliance is a school that's looked up to. I think Wasu
The
hate
Busharians.
the fact that you always talk about it, but sometimes when you're giving a story you have to mention the school. So like when we started the podcast we talk about schools. So I'd talk about my school, not because I went there.
Yes.
Because mi ukienda kwa records zangu I was not the typical Starehe student.
Right.
Najua I feel like if you have that artist born in you, you're going to be naturally
rebel. Yeah.
Utakuwa rebellious. So the fact that art meant something to me.
Yes.
I was rebellious.
Hata mimi wasn't the typical
check it. So
AHS student.
So I think kuna hiyo. So kuna sofikiri ati tunabonga juu stories. It's because if you're trying to give the story. But me on a random conversation ati Elon Musk ameenda kwa Starehe.
But if you think about it, think about innovation. If somebody tells me there's something happening in radio, kuna mse ali develop kitu about radio tukiwa form 1. Vitu watu walikuwa wanafanya during junior achievers. When someone is saying they're going camping, a lot of the camps I went to organize within the school. If someone talks about love triangles, tulikuwa tunaona wasee mazee wanakatiana, unaona msee anakatia this whole sugar mami mubaba mama thing. We saw it in high school. Like there's a lot of stuff that's enmeshed during your formative years, because remember also that's the time when you're getting a conceptualization of the world. Hey bro, there's so many Bush stories you can't even start to finish, because that's where you double with your spirituality. Unakaa hivi una realize you kuna rock and roll, you want to be a goth or an atheist or a satanist, whatever it is that the ubiquitous or the erratic idea is unachekio kitu. So for me and these are things which, because human beings are collections of stories, unakanga hivi chini like umeiongelea tu kidogo. You could pick stories for that place the whole time.
So how do you end up getting expelled from Alliance?
Yeah, so for me
mi niko nafikiria golimalizia Alliance. So kama juzi
limalizia Maranda High School. And it was a collection of things. Again, now this is now that underbelly for kulikuwa pia na a lot of envy and a lot of hate and a lot of bringing crab in a bucket mentality where someone felt like for them to rise, they had to make an example of someone.
Yes.
As a rebellious art student, unapata, first of all, even part of the trouble I got into, I never really took my academics seriously.
Yes.
This one my late teacher of English, Mrs. Maretta, once told my dad during a PTA meeting, your child does not pass because he studies, he passes because he's talented. So mimi nikisoma hiyo kitu nilikuwa nimeshika. Unapata this one time they did an inspection, tuko form 3, tuko ama form 2 third term, na notes zangu ziko form 1. Nilikuwa nakaa hivi class najifanya naandika, but I was daydreaming the whole time. So I went on a series of suspensions. And I never even actually got expelled. I got suspended indefinitely, in the sense that I was told, we will call you.
Ulikuwa umedu nini by this time?
So by this particular time when I'm leaving, I was accused of so many things, and so many things were also happening. So in high school, there used to be wale wasewarui, the things which people used to hate in boys' schools. Wasewarui, and people who, like gay people. Yeah. Those were one of the things which, two of the main things that would get you into trouble. Apart from, of course, you just performing this. And at the time, mimi sasa nilijikuta in the middle of this thing. Because consistently, if you looked at the heartbeat of a term, you would find that at a particular point, there usually used to be a time when people would go for suspension. You would tell, it's usually around this time, ukiwa kwa shida, that's the time that you would get into. By the time the case was being built, the prefecture was making that case. Bro, it was a collection of so many things. But then ilikuwa tu, I couldn't really explain it.
Yes.
Because umetokea, and remember pia nilikuwa rada ya huyu boarding master. And nilikuwa nakuambia, and he was like, I'll use you as an example. They used to have those teachers who would beef with 14-year-olds, and I thought it was really wild if I think about it.
When you think about
in your
it,
40s, right you're beefing with an 18-year-old, and I feel like so that's where a lot of like all these weird stories, I hear a lot of outrageous stories come out, and I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, you can't really beat it. Because after all, it was an amalgamation of things. Part of I was told I'd stolen 95 sandwiches and do you know how many liters of juice? Because we used to have socials with Alliance girls. I stole that from the house committee to go and enjoy with my girlfriends. Also, we had written a diss mail and were supposed to go and wash pigs at the Alliance girls farm. I was not participating academically. Then now I feel now after with those. Because also there was also a part of people who had been in need for this whole gay story.
What used to happen? Because one of the things, at least start square a gay scandal. The only thing I came to laugh, because now it was funny, but was when someone said that some dude we used to go to high school with was gay. But not a sodomite, because sodomite is a rapist.
Yes.
So this guy used to be taller than sisi. Na everywhere ukienda alikuwa nakaa mtu anakushika. But before your time, kusaizi nasema there's a heightened level of homophobia. So before your time,
how do you call it heightened? I feel like imeshuka hata.
Because akile na feel ni kama your time ilikuwaga unajua wasiwaocha wakikuja na even hold hands
tu hivyo hata mkitembea.
Watashikana mikono. So we never thought about it. But this dude never used to shower. So akikushika hivi afu ni mrefu uko kwa so unajua baadaye msa akisema ati anajua nani alikuwa niko like bana mse I'm assuming atakuwa
so a lot of it one Bushirians were very woke. And so in terms of terminology, because I've never had a problem with that. I also, if there's one thing I really hated, I've always hated bullies my whole life.
Yes.
And they used to bully a lot of these people who came from families which had only sisters. And immediately you start walking funny, talk that soft voice. They call you. I hated that shit to the bone. Like it's one of the things where because I had a short stint as a prefect now when I went to Miranda. Part of the people who are like have a bone with me are people who are bullies. I maze nikisikia ati umebully form 1 ama umebully tu mtu. I never take it. I never take bully because I'm a victim. Part of one of my greatest undoings in life, I feel like, because I was bullied. But also, there's that part where it just feels like there's people who also kind of, made advances, like older students. Because the moment you declare your stances, people now box you and those kinds of things.
Okay.
So I feel like that's part of it. And also it doesn't help that... so I think coming from my childhood... after whatever happened, I used to walk in my sleep, talk in my sleep. Whenever I'm stressed nowadays, I talk in my sleep. And I used to pee in my sleep. Bro, these are the worst combinations for you to have. And I remember one time I had a very, 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 very horrible situation where, and this is a thing, like Nile Mbaya that I used to be prayed for. Where a person who sleepwalks is called a what? Somnambulist, yes. And I walked and I went back to the wrong cube. Bro, that story became such a horrible thing. It's just that the guys of that, I think the guy who found me, because it became a story, Nini, scandal, people started whispering. And I remember now when the teacher, this teacher again, who always wanted to send me home. Now when the story gets there and Sijui housemaster and Nini, the people of the cube, I think someone saw me. They're like, kusema ukweli, mtu alikuwa amedoze. And I remember because when I woke up, I started saying, I'm so sorry. But it's also a thing that was so bad for me as a child that wase walikuwa wananiombea. It's the same as like I've always had trouble sleeping, not actually sleeping, but I sleep at the slightest convenience or inconvenience. Get up and attended 5 minutes, I'll pass out or whatever. So it's one of those two things where it just the cards that were dealt also just didn't look good. But of course, these are things which fade out with time and whatnot. So it was a whole thing, and at the time, an example needed to be made of the of students.
So the sleepwalking ended. Like right now, you don't sleepwalk.
I don't sleepwalk.
In Nairobi, it's dangerous, eh?
Hey, bro, I don't sleepwalk. But I still kind of move. I still move a lot in my sleep. But that's when I'm highly stressed. Yeah, when I'm stressed, it's that, or when I speak or speaking. It's just one of those two things which I don't know. I think it was just because high school was a highly stressful environment also for me. But also stemming from childhood, at some point I had to pay the price. I think from the things I had endured in my childhood, at some point I had to pay the price, and I think I paid the price in high school. That's what it was. So for me, whatever I hear people spin stories, I'm like, absolutely, because I've lived such a pretty eventful life.
Niaje huu ni Rapture the Scientist hapa hivi live and director. Kabla show iendelee, remember row 1 and cut 3 Rapture the Scientist row 1 and cut 3 sasa iko live pale hivi ikonini.live. Ingia pale ni only 500 shillings.
Kusi story of sleepwalking, the reason why I'm asking you is Richie of Matata, you know the group, so he has that problem, and he told us a story of like by the time tuko tunafanya interview he just healed because he was sleepwalking, then akaanguka and he hurt himself so badly. And when I think of Nairobi, I think of, let's say you're sleepwalking and you live on 12th floor. You know how dangerous that is.
For my entire teenagehood, I couldn't sleep because nilikuwa nalala, naamka, naanguka. Yeah. Like I had to be and home, because you know home people are kind. Watasikia kelele, or they guide you back to the room, and sometimes you don't even wake up. Yeah, it's just uko ndani tu melala nini, they take you back and oh sorry nini. Then you thrust into high school. These are not things which people ask. Do you have any conditions and whatnot? No. So unafika your place, maze, you just pray. I pray it's not serious. So sometimes nilikuwa najipata nje for a while. Alafu maze, time flani sijui nimeenda nikakaa kwa school van. Nikashtukia tu mazeni 4 a.m.
Uni Alliance.
Like it used to be one of those two really things where I was just like, hey bro, I really just hope it never it never happens. Of course, like that hurting me, I never really had a problem with that getting hurt because nilikuwa like utapona. But what would people say? That thing, hiyo kitu yenye wasa watasema mazee, ilikuwa inanisumbua. And you know, as a teenager, that used to be one of my biggest questions. I wanted to preserve these optics. But
so and the peeing problem, what happened?
So the peeing problem also, a lot of these things
ulikuwa kwa deck ya chini,
because at some point nilikuwa kwa deck ya juu, but now I'd pee and my mind, so mi sikuwa nafikiria hizo vitu zenye unaotanga ati unaota unajikuta choo. My mind like played even more complex tricks and I would mean it. So
you just whip
unashtukia tu, yani tu umenyora. Ilikuwa vitu creative, nilikuwa pata ndoto creative sana, ama like the panic, the times it felt like it was either I sleepwalk or I pee on myself. But ilipotea somehow. Ilipotea high school, I can't explain. That's why I'm like, I don't know if it was even my sleeping problem, because I at some point, even when I was in form 4, I used to sleep so much, teachers stopped beating me for sleeping. Yeah. Wakasema, please take your son, he needs to be checked. Sijui ya daktari agakana akasema sijui he has a wart in the lobe, whatever. But a lot of it, I think it was just the stress of it all, because it's never happened. It never happened to me afterwards. Okay.
So umeexpeliwa, you stay out for some time?
Yeah, I stay out for
like a year,
close to a year.
And then ukiingia Maranda, you go straight to form 4?
I get form 3 third term. Yeah.
Okay.
So I get form 3 third term, we did third term things, and then now form 4, and then graduated.
Okay, so form 3 third term, that means huku kwingine ulikuwa umetoka which term?
Hiyo term nilitoka first term.
First time ya form 4?
First time ya form 4 Bush.
Oh, okay. So which year is this?
2014.
2014.
Yeah.
So
2014 yote niko nje, then end of 2014 I get into form 3 third term, and then 2015 I do form 4.
Oh, so
yeah.
So ulitoka 2014.
Yeah, so Bush meaning class of 14, Maranda meaning class of 15.
Class of 15. Okay. So how's Maranda? Because Maranda, me for a very long time I didn't know this school till, was it a few years back?
Okararua Alliance sasa. Alliance girls wakaanza kujiita Maranda girls. That thing hurt as a good one. Sasa nikaenda huko. It was a great equalizer in the sense that sasa hiyo ilikuwa high school. Yeah, so kila mtu alikuwa equal, all of us shaved balds. Even there's clips of me doing great debaters naka BN. Okay, sky BN because kuna do, but naka BN. Anyway, so yeah, and the uniform was standard. Cops maybe wore like a different sweater only. It wasn't too privileged and whatnot. Of course, every school has those ninis because cops behave almost the same. It's just the range. It's just the, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I get
Is there physical punishment in Maranda?
Yes.
Teachers still whoop you?
There's physical punishment in more schools than people are willing to admit.
Damn, man.
Kabisa.
Mi nitashinda tu
Hapo tu,
nikisema-
by the way,
hapa sasa unajua nikisifu starehe hapo nasema
hapo ndio mlishinda basi.
hapo tulishinda tu. Hakuna
because,
ujinga hiyo.
mi nakanga hivi chini and my logic has always been no child, this is a hill I'm willing to die on. No child apart from Ruto must go, no child deserves to be punished physically.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu kama mimi wezi nipiga na mimi ukiniambia Kaz usichelewe na nitachelewa tena kesho, atoi who comes here and it's like they've spent 2 years wanaangalia hii screen wanasema na mbona ninajiona hapo ndani, anaivuta inaanguka chini. What makes you think that beating this child is the next? And I usually feel like beating children comes from a point of scarcity and lack of control, because if Atoi, for example, if Atoi, for example, comes and pours this water, autamchapa, utako like, oh baby, please don't do that, because you can get another one. But ukiwa pale kwa keja, umwage mafuta taa ya 30 bob, utachapa kwa sababu mzazi ako frustrated, ako like, what do you mean? I'm not justifying it, but I see it. Because now I saw it when my niece came, because I always wanted to, I think nimeharibu, but sijaribu. My niece, I wanted to sustain the rumor that I have toys and whatever. Super cool. She came to my house and she was still kind of afraid of that, of being beaten. Nobody chapas toto in my house. And when you do anything, you just say the truth, because you know good, like maybe the teachers still believe you kitu inaitangwa discipline. So it's one of those things. There's very many schools where children were beaten than people care to admit.
Like mi mtoi wangu alitoka a certain private school hapa tu Nairobi. About siendi kuisema, but anyone who's my friend ashaonaga mtoi wangu amevaa hiyo uniform, and it's because she was being like, there was one teacher who used to beat them. And it never used to make sense to me, because there's a time I talked to that teacher, I was like, Buddha, like, you know, like one of the reasons why si wenyewe tumekubali middle class tumekuwa bashed for letting the government get away with bad schools,
right?
So napeleka mtu wako private ndio asichapwe, unapata mtu yana chapo, so mpaka tuliswitch schools zake juu hiyo. Like, you can't
mimi nazuanga vurugu mbaya. I've quit workplaces where I saw a boy who was autistic and I was like, oh sijui I can't change it, nini toe the line. Like, screw you and your employment. Mimi wanazusha, if there's one thing I can't tolerate, bad services. So one time I got into Nini, and I'll call you out to that university. I'm coming back for you guys. But whenever I hear like oppression, I never take oppression of any sort. Lying down kabisa.
Kuna hizo ujinga, because what it does, it makes us very timid.
Yes.
I always give the example of nikiwa form 2, we used to do something called voluntary service.
Yes.
So I was niliend up nikienda, which place was this? Nairobi Hospital.
Right.
So I remember there was this nurse, she used to be beautiful. After jo nikuwa dole, alafu mimi unlike wewe ule alikuwa nafikiria masturbation is a problem to me.
Wewe ulikuwa na vilipuzi Baghdad.
So udem, I used to see her and I'd just be scared, but I think she understood that for her beauty and a 16-year-old boy. So she understood. But now there was I don't know if the head of nurses kanikani matron. So she wrote my report baadaye, alafu kaandika, he's very timid. And when I look back, I wonder, why was this teenage boy that timid?
Right.
Alafu nakumbuka place niko nimetoka, Olympic Estate Primary School. We used to be beaten. Napigwa kama mwizi. And that made it. Alafu I'm one of the so-called bright students. And still niko na have days where I'd be whooped kabisa.
Right.
So with time, it creates a certain fear in you, fear of authority, that it follows you all your life. You have no confidence. Like most Kenyans, we have very little confidence.
If you think about it, that's why we are also bold on social media where this.
But tunakuaga hivyo. So kwa social media we'll talk shit, but in real life kuna nini. So hiyo kuchapa watoi, it's a very tricky
kabisa. But also, just to be fair, like it was, I'm not even going to defend it. There's no defense. Why watoto walikuwa wanachapwa, change it. Don't beat children. Don't beat kids.
Kuna ile mu understand ile like utapata mtu kuzoto yeye unajua pia watalia kabisa. Mtu anafanywa hivi. but ile unachapa mtoi mpaka ngozi na pasuka
mi nakwanga radical mbaya sasa
Yeah, hiyo
mtoi
najua.
unless you're hugging them or just kissing them on the forehead bana. I don't see
but
yeah.
me kitu fani ni in my house kuna kuagana once in a while this corporal punishment of the kid by the mom. So one of the funniest things that I ever saw, it was funny and sad at the same time, is I have my Sony like headphones.
Yeah.
The noise cancellation in those headphones, it's perfect.
Absolute.
So my kid did something that kusumpanish na hizi vitu zingine tunachukua internet tunachukua what, but we came and felt like she reached a level where this punishment doesn't work. So I had this conversation with her where I was telling her like, you broke my heart. And the reason why I felt that is she went and she bullied her friend. Alafu najua there is that digital footprint where wamekosana na mtu yangu like, I don't even care, you can go to hell. Like, no, this is your friend. You can't tell your friend this. So you don't want your kid to be a bully. So to me I was so disappointed. Alafu najua madhake alikuwa shamuon never bully another kid because kuna time amebully mtu mwingine still. So now when the mom decided she was going to use violence on her, I had to just work because as a girl dad it's so hard to see your little girl.
Kabisa.
So it was not at the extreme punishment.
Again unajua families are also very dynamic.
But it ilini hurt. But I also needed her to know, like, you know, this one person who always protects you, your dad. He's so disappointed in you bullying another kid. That because you have to correct this before she's a teenager.
Kabisa before it becomes a norm.
Teenager,
sasa ataingia jela sasa.
Alafu you're bullying because to me you're bullying kid to kid. Because I feel like this new generation will do that because they watch a lot of foreign stuff.
Right.
They're exposed to the foreign shit. Sisi unajua bullying tuko tunajua maybe utaipata chuo but utaipata so that but so kuna Maranda sema ulikuwa prefect. How do you end up a prefect after
Maranda first of all was a miracle because my dad didn't have money. And when he was coming back, we wanted to like have my books and whatnot. Somebody stole the box. He was going to look for a school called Segero. He was trying to look for a day school up Kisumu called Lions or whatever, where I could just do French and whatever. But then, they tried looking for Kisumu boys. And then somehow just Maranda, he went to Maranda once and he talked to those people. He showed them my report cards, showed them the Nini from the school. Because we just told the school, I just fine. Clearly, he's not coming back. So I had my report forms. Like, can you guys give us a recommendation letter and whatnot? So they were very honest in the thing. So when they looked at it, the principal I think looked at it. He was just like, fine, I'll admit him. So I got admitted, and then now I became a prefect through the entertainment side. I was one of the Nini prefects because we wanted to have like a journalism club, and we were talking about the things, and I brought music because Maranda didn't have music when I joined. So the band, they had band instruments, but nobody knew how to play. So I go in there, set up a band, those kinds of things, and so that's how I end up shining. And I was Nini the prefect.
So ukatoka Maranda
2015.
Yes. So took ulikuwa nenda kustudy
finance. But I was gonna do law, but there's a pal of mine who told me, hey, listen, the way you're coming, it looks as though you are not gonna have the discipline for law. And he told me, one of our friends studied the law and he's not practicing. You look like you're too into this music thing. Take an easier course which can allow you to pursue. And I thought he was just being jealous, but man, I'm so grateful for that advice because I did an easy course. I went and did finance. Ilikuwa naingia shule na cruise naenda nafanya music nini narudi nafanya. So I'm very grateful for that. So I went and did that. And did on the side also just did some of his small packages.
Because nene nataka tutabonga juu ya now the mental stuff but kitu interesting sana ulisema the way I said like you always have these two quotables. So when I was watching Ian Jagero, he said something interesting. He said porn accepts you. Like,
right.
Shit,
no, it does.
That's profound.
It does, brother.
It
does. So that happens hapo katikati ya Bush na Maranda where you're allowed to curate your perfect human being. You go and look for exactly what it is, and of course it gets more grotesque as you get absorbed. And you know what, a porn addiction really is a lack of fulfillment. Because that's the only time.
What would you classify as an addiction? Because I always say that a lot of stuff we think ni addiction, and the reason why I'm saying that, like on the Monday episode of a show sufanya into the weekend update. Was one I watch. It's me, Rapture, and Ian.
Yeah.
And we are talking about an Algerian footballer who's been caught twice masturbating in public. So I'm like, that guy is addicted. Mtu yoyote ule ufanya hii kitu kwa nyumba before alale.
Yeah.
To me, that's not an addiction. That's someone who's just trying to
Cool it
take
off,
the
blow
best,
off, you know.
the best spiriton in the world.
Yes, no, for sure.
To knock you out. So what would you classify as an addiction? Because an addiction would be like, excuse me, teacher, I need to go use the bathroom. Then unaenda kwa bathroom unachapa moja. Alafu unatoka unarudi kwa class.
Because porn is dangerous. Yeah. That's the only way I would like. I have no problem with masturbation, bro. Beat your meat, maze. Record time ni 42, so 41.
Ushasikia timsali dedi after 42 times.
Like now we know gentlemen ni 41. So 41 for like be safe. Wanasemanga it will deplete your zinc. Kula popcorn. I have no problem at all. But porn is dangerous in the sense that one, you have unfettered access to all sorts of categories. You know, the industry is built off of the exploitation of children and women. Those kinds of things. It's a propagation. That's why I can't equate it to, because also people say, but women also are addicted to erotic literature.
Yes.
The cost of the literature is lower than the cost of the vice. So that's why I would classify porn just the same way you would say, but I'm a functional alcoholic. We call functional alcoholics addicts. So that's the only category where I'm like, it kind of impairs whatever it is that you do. And it seems like it's innocent, it's on your own, but then the demand for more, harder, no pun intended, like that's what I would say. And for some people it even gets to the point where they start paying for it. And so and you know what the science behind it, what it does to your brain and whatnot. So that's why I would classify it as one of the things people could be addicted to. Because also shaking off the habit is hard unless you're walking into things that give you a lot of purpose and satisfaction. And where may have been lucky, I have like very different avenues, but I know for so many people it's coupled with all the vices, you know, the vices we have, the smokes, the drinks, the what, it's all enmeshed in there. It's just that if you compare the level, this one is lower, but for a conservative person, is this the only thing you're doing? Then that becomes problematic.
So vile nisema like with the way you use terms, so kuna time niliona kiambia nani, at some point I had suicidal ideation. Like, damn, kizungu. Kwa kizungu simdomo chetu. Yes. So mental health struggles, at what point did you realize that, you know what, maybe I have a problem? Because I don't think it's something that anyone accepts. And for me, the reason why I'm saying this is before I sat here with Ecstatic, I didn't know about something called intrusive thoughts. Because intrusive thoughts are the times where very crazy ideas come to your mind.
Right.
And part of my intrusive thoughts were into the call of the void. You know the call of the void?
Yes, kabisa.
So
keeps on calling everybody.
Yes. So for me, I hate tall buildings. I see beautiful places that I can never live in. Because they have tall buildings.
So like itaniita siku moja.
Muagana the call of the void. Kwa watu wajui, the call of the void is where if you're in a tall building you feel like jumping. And so I avoid that. Hata wife akiniambia, guys, come pick me up at the office. I don't like that. I'll just wait for you downstairs. I don't want to deal with that shit where I have to walk kwa wall because no go back. So to me ni kuchizi. The fact that when I realized it's not only me who has it, I was like, oh shit, kumbe.
Absolutely.
You know? So at what point do you know that ikitu ni shida?
At the point where, and that's also the same point, I started getting suspensions. I think it was just catching up with me when I started like wanting to commit suicide. I wanted to sell my soul to the devil. I wanted this life thing to end. And every single time I got into trouble, I felt like that was a cry for help. Like, hey, maze sijui kuna kitu na cheese, staki kuishi. And in Bush I attempted very many times. It's just that the most notable one is when now I tried it in the school hall, but I was consistently trying to sijui chemicals, sijui nini. Lab, kuchanganya vitu, kunywa na hope nini. So naenda, but also we had a very highly functional sanitarium. Kujikata alafu kusema it was an accident. But now targeting things where I would bleed kabisa. Getting to it was a lot, man. There was a lot as a high
So
schooler.
this would happen ulianza hiyo ni ukiwa
Alliance. Yes.
so by the time uko Maranda cause such a thing can't take a pause, it stays with you.
Now
So
when I'm in Miranda also now it was it was guilt and gratitude. So ili tulia kiasi because I even said please never visit me and I'm never coming back home for the holidays in Form 4. Yeah, because I felt like this is my retribution, it's my jail experience, and I also wanted to acquire myself academically. So it kind of had a bit of a pause. But then now it goes back. There was also always those kinds of ideas, but at that time, for that particular year, there was the expectation. People are saying, they're looking at you as this bush guy. What are you? So I had to insulate myself. So I couldn't sleep up. Yeah, so after that, now getting into Campo, go back into freedom, and now you go back into default settings. And now it comes back, kapisa, every once in a while. So I want to, that call of the void the thing where I want to stab myself, I'm cutting, or I'm going on like a serious sexual rampage, those kinds of things. Then so I think it properly came back when I was in campus. But every once in a while you take a break, now you go into like more manic things, like vying for things, or like learning how to be. I became a biker in campus and whatnot. So like those kinds of things, just the things that kept me alive. But yeah, I saw it. I saw my struggle with my mental health. I've always seen it where there would be months when I'd be low, months when I'm high, until I finally got that diagnosis.
Because there's this infamous time where you end up being taken to a hospital.
Yeah.
This is which year?
Last year.
Well, last year?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, which one?
Only last year, October.
Hiyo ni majuzi.
Jana tu, yeah.
Less than a year. So what happened? What was different this time mpaka mtu akafeel ni kama unanid kwenda hosi?
It's the first time it was very serious. I started walking around in shorts. One time I was found in town naked.
Naked ile?
Yeah, like even a crowd was charging. They almost beat me up, man.
Uchi wa mnyama?
No. But I'd thrown off most of my clothes. I think I was just in my boxers. And so it's a friend of mine who found me and took me now to like a institution, and then some guy on TikTok was like, hey bro, I saw somebody like you, Nini. And also it's a medication I'd been given that had really just rushed me outside.
Okay, because nataka to answer na before the medication, like what pushed you to get help mpaka medication?
Yeah, I'd attempted because 2023 was also really rough. I was coming out of 2022 was very eventful. I'm doing things. I got my dream job, and then I'm doing a fellowship which Beyonce is paying for entire Perry. I'm flying around.
Yo kitu nilicheki sema jua nini yako na Tyler Perry. What was that?
It was a fellowship called Global Citizen. I ran for a year, and it's a paid fellowship between South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya, 5 per country. Do fun projects, trying to what we're actually doing is storytelling for change, but also that's engage. Like that, because that's the angle I kind of took, but it's trying to find solutions for poverty, sustainable solutions so what we did was a period poverty project. That's why I got so mad at Akina Uroba and Nyamu. But so coming from that year, I burnt out, got to a point where I dreaded doing the things I loved. I would lock myself in the toilet and just cry for entire like 3 hours, and then you go 2 hours, I'm losing my stuff. And like cheesy, I want to scream internally. It was just very unstable. So I quit my jobs, and also there's no money coming in, those kinds of things. You're just bouncing off of savings. Then was there a heartbreak? There was a heartbreak, but that was Kitambo, that was 2022. But now leading into that, you feel as though you lost everything, and then now get into a depressive slump, because it's a thing I'd been struggling with since high school. So I'd attempted suicide quite a couple of times, but then this particular one was special because I wanted to crash my car. That's what it was. So, and then now the following moment I took drugs. Anyone who knows me knows I don't drink or smoke or whatever. But I was found drunk, and I was writing stuff on my social media. So that was very, I don't know why they just decided now, take him to hospital, not even stabilize, go home, befriend this guy now. So
I think maybe upon nimepoteza timeline, because kuna hii timeline where you are basically naked in town.
That's 2023, the week before I go to hospital, or 2 weeks before, because remember I need medication
but
earlier.
Medication. So medication to na.
The
point
because there were attempts before this very big attempt. There were smaller attempts.
Okay, so that's what.
Yes.
So you're the one who took yourself. Your time?
It's my like a girl that's a very good friend of mine who, and that's why I usually say the only way you survive these things is if you have a very healthy community. Man, that she was my ride or die partner, a friend through and through, and she even rallied people, said, hey Maze, it's getting this expensive, we know this guy's not working. She took me to hospital on her card, paid for stuff. As I came to find out that she rallied a few people, kind of spearheaded the thing. So then the medication I was put on did the flip thing to my brain. So that's what happened. And then now leading to that, and coupled with that, so people just saw and they were like, oh no, but just commit him to a mental institution. Yeah.
So isiku, let's go to specifically
the day I was found in town.
Hii sasa siku napelekwa hosi.
So yeah, drunk.
Isket yatao, what happens?
Siku ilianza vizuri. And I said, I'm not even taking medication because I woke up in a very good mood because, antidepressants help you to... I was like, name heal. Moments later, I'm selling everything. Said, I want to sell everything. I don't want to be in this country. Nini. So you got cigarettes, smoked up, started walking, walked from Ngong roadsides into town.
Hii time yote uko fully clothed.
Yeah, fully clothed, but by the time I'm getting to town, I'm naked. And the crowd is building, it's charging, they're saying, hey, sijui whatnot, nini. So tukiwaambia vijana wachibangi, nini. And then now I kind of lost a recollection of what it was until I went to this hospital, Chiromo. And then after that, stayed kidogo, tried again to commit suicide. And then now I think just a combination of these things would have led some people to take me to hospital. But then some people... now to another one. Hidden somewhere huko Limuru sides.
I think a friend of mine was taken to Limuru. And I also talked about it on the podcast. But yake ilikuwa tijua substance abuse. So there's also
a lot of substance abuse, a lot of rehabs. Rehabs are what, level 3 hospitals?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. So for substance abuse and mental disturbances. Yeah.
Because yake ilikuwa pia funny because alipelekwa na demu yake. So he had a problem.
Yeah.
But I think he was not willing to admit. Alafu akakosana na demu fulani.
Yeah.
So demu akangoja siku iko high. And she just got people and he was grabbed and taken there. Kutoka ilikuwa hard.
Yeah.
Kutoka ilikuwa hard. There's a famous joke ya Rapture and I think he needs to do it on a stand-up.
Yeah.
But Rapture wagana joke ya vile there's nothing hard than someone who's gotten healed at a mental institution getting out. Asema like it's the hardest thing because no one will believe you.
Hey, let me tell you. Nilika hapo nikasema mimi natoka because they told me 3 days. Kasema mimi natoka hapa in a week tops. Kasema hata sisi tulikuwa tunasema hivyo. Ini day 72. Even nikasema you guys are plucking me because some of the people did it with bad intentions. They were trying to just sabotage me. Wanaharibia biz. Hata jali clients wangu wako like ndari ya just wako like pesa tutafuta.
Clients gani? Si nilikuwa nafikiri umeacha job ama
nilikuwa na few personal private clients. Wenye hata wako na jali business yao msita kwa aje. Like you don't just pluck a person. You don't take them to heal because you take them to a different environment. Then once the duration ends, they come back to this environment.
Yeah.
In a worse state. Then now you see you're just going to be in a loop. In and out of hospital, in and out of hospital. That's what's going to be happening to you. Yeah, so that happened and so I get into the hospital. This one time nilileta vurugu mbaya. Nilisema mwezi nidanganya. Nilizusha mbaya nikaambia cut off kila nikaambia if this is what you guys are threatening me with, nikitoka hapa none of you is ever going to talk to me. And don't you even dare Maze, even if it's dying I'll just die. Yeah, so
which dates are they? Ulitoka huko when? Uliingia October?
Uliingia October nikatoka November.
Like after 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3-4 weeks, yeah.
And then on medication ama?
Yeah, nilitoka on medication, but then the medication was very bad.
Because I think you talked about atini dawa epilepsy.
Yeah, the thing they use is the one for epileptics, and I was on a very high dose. Normally people are given 20 grams of something, 30 grams of something, 50 grams of something. Mainly go on like 300, 500 of something.
So this is supposed to boost which chemical?
Supposed to, because it's manic depressive, it's supposed to stabilize. so that you don't have very high highs and very low lows. You're just stable. Yeah. So I hated it. I absolutely hated it. And I was like, I need to figure out alternative ways of living without this thing in my system, because they said, oh, you take it for life. And I'm like, no. And then, also it's guesswork for them, because if it works, then you keep on taking it. If it doesn't, you come withdraw up another plan. So what want to vibe to? Like, oh, if it works, it works. If it does not, it does not. So yeah, that's actually, it's one of the worst things that I've ever gone through. That the weight of that medication, and especially this doctor didn't give it to me with muscle relaxant. So now I started getting seizures, and so that's very bad. And I started getting like a shake. There's a thing now I have that I never had before. It's just because this doctor was stupid and was like, he was such a shit doctor that he didn't prescribe muscle relaxants.
So what do you have?
Is some what are these things called? I'm so detached from. I have such a hatred for my medication. Quitipin. And I remember.
You still take the medication at a size?
Every once in a while I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, every once in a while I do. Just to see what it is. Quitipin and what's this other thing? I remember I met this babe. Who convinced me to go back to medication. For me, I usually just go, ionyesha it this way. Quitipin, what's the name of this other purple drug? I forget it. But yeah, so very high dosages, but now in Colombia, not just half the things. It is so bad. It's so embarrassing that I don't know the name of that drug.
That's easy.
Yeah, but whatever it is.
Okay.
The worst one I know, the one I hate the most is Quitipin, because Quitipin messes you up. Kabisa. I feel like that's the one that turns you into a zombie. Then the other one, I know it's composition, and Epilim. That's the name.
Okay. Easy. And then by nini ulijipataje ku-engage? Because you ended up doing Engage is like 6 months ago. That was early this year.
So I've always worked with Engage. I'm the music director. Yes, I'm the music director at Engage. So Engage is a but I never spoke. So but now after those experiences, what Engage does is they push you to be your best version. They don't just take you. Always tu hapo pali uko. They said, oh yeah man, you look like you have a story. Would you mind speaking? I was like, oh no. And so they called me. So the first one we did during COVID was supposed to be a short thing. Supposed to just be like an artist introduction. Yeah. And I started talking. I played piano kidogo. Started talking. Then I just saw the directors do this. Yeah. So I yapped. Then now the second time now it was a bit more intentional. Yeah. So we did Engage. So as a speaker, I've spoken twice on Engage, but I've always been with the organization since 2021. Okay. So
this time, why did you feel like you needed to open up about everything? Why you Engage?
Because I just come from hospital and I wanted to raise awareness, because what I've always done was talk about mental health ever since I was a child. Even when I'm standing up against bullies and whatnot, I've always been such a huge proponent of good mental wellness and mental health. This, when I volunteer, when I do stuff in church, when I do stuff in uni, that was one of my biggest areas. So when I opened up, I was just like, there could be someone who's struggling. Because also part of what I learned in the hospital is a lot of the people who end up there are people who said, could never be me. I was one of those people who could never be me. So when I ended up there, when I decided to open up, I wanted to encourage a person who's going through a thing, but does not know what it could be, but they think it's just them. So I just wanted to tell them, hey, listen, you could look like this and still go through it. You could be this other person and still go through it. Yeah.
Oh, but some medication has to be just these drugs. Akutaga like any other.
Of course, kuna watu alternative medicine, but medication has to be drugs too.
Yeah, because alternative nasikiaga sijui you've heard of the psychedelics. They reset your brain.
Yes.
I don't know how true that is.
I mean, it could be true. I really believe it could be true because yes, those kinds of things. But then now that's a portal which I don't think I'm ready to open. But I know even I've seen people who talk about it. Because
I hear like you're even restrained. You're restrained because by the time
could run wild. Yes,
but you're going to go through hell. So even like most of the time, they want the family to stay away.
Yes,
so that you can face your demons.
Wewe peke yako.
So nasikiaga mtuka mimi nikitaka kureset, I'd see like my worst fear, which is height and snakes. So I'd be in tall building, maybe being chased by a snake.
Right.
But eventually it resets your brain and you're back to whatever.
Psychedelics for the win. Unatry kuniuzia psychedelics.
Fun enough, I don't use any drugs.
Me neither.
but ni kitu nishaifikiriaga juu yake nafikiria maybe that can solve
Right.
my call,
I see what you
call
mean.
of the void, because what I hate about it is the fact that there are things I'll never enjoy just staying on a
Helipad huko
rooftop.
KICC.
Acheki, like mimi ukitaka kuniweza niambia mwafto unizaishi 50th floor nini free of charge.
Yeah.
There, like itabidi kuenda kutengenezwa grills. Like I watch nani, what's his name, I watch Ombachi. And I'm like, no, I don't want to eat
Like
Ombachi's food.
yeah. Like
Like,
watch
I'd
your
love to
balcony
enjoy
ikae.
that meal,
But iko mbali.
but
Akiangusha
hapo,
chapo unaona
nikae kwa balcony. Like I'd lose my shit. Yeah, so unless Ombachi
rudi
anapika
Kenya haraka bana. Kwa balcony.
so that check. And then I was not planning to ask you this story, but I'll still going to ask. History sexual assault.
Yeah.
Are these people that you knew, and have you ever met them?
When I was at OE, the people I knew, but also again, it's one of my best and worst traits. I let go of things, kabisa. And as I'm my worst enemies, also because I'm a douchebag as well. So mimi niliwasamea. Yeah, it's people I knew.
Okay. So now wacha tubonge juu ya one of the things that ilifanya saa mi nikakujua, that's politics.
Maandamano.
Maandamano. And maandamano ilikuwa interesting because tuko nashindwa like, who's this guy who just shows up in a suit?
Yeah.
So ulienda gani kwanza? Which date did you go?
Zote.
Ulienda ya 18th?
Yeah.
18th was the first one?
Yes.
Okay. So but now interestingly enough, before that bonge juu ya 18th, ulikuwa nasema that the week before you'd had the same suicidal
Friday. So there's Friday over here. It was found on a rooftop, 10th floor.
Wapi kwa?